I never thought betrayal could cut this deep. For years, I believed I was living the dream life. A loving marriage, a best friend who felt like a sister, and a future that seemed secure. My name is Sophia Carter, and this is the story of how everything I thought I knew about love and friendship shattered in an instant. My husband, Daniel, and I had been together since college. He was charming, ambitious, and funny, the kind of man people gravitated toward. My best friend Claire was just as magnetic, a woman who could light up a room with her laughter. The three of us had been inseparable for years. People joked that we were like a trio, always together at parties, on road trips, and even in lazy evenings filled with takeout and laughter. I trusted them both with my whole heart. Claire was the maid of honor at my wedding. She was the one who helped me choose my dress, held my hand when I had cold feet, and wiped away tears of joy as I walked down the aisle. Daniel, my husband, had promised me forever that day, his eyes shining with sincerity. At least that's what I believed. The cracks started small. Daniel became distant, coming home later than usual, his phone always glued to his hand. At first I brushed it off. "Work is stressful," he would say, kissing my forehead. I believed him. Claire too began acting strangely. She cancelled plans with me more often, claiming she was overwhelmed with her job. She seemed distracted when we spoke, her eyes darting away, her laughter forced. I ignored the red flags. Love makes you blind, or maybe it makes you too willing to excuse the inexcusable. Then came the night that broke me. I was planning a surprise anniversary dinner for Daniel, cooking his favorite meal and setting the table with candles. I wanted to remind us both of the love we shared, to bring back the spark that felt like it had dimmed. But Daniel didn't come home on time. Hours passed, and my calls went unanswered. Finally, worried, I drove to his office, hoping to surprise him there. Instead, I found him in the parking lot, but he wasn't alone. He was in his car with Claire, their lips locked in a kiss, so passionate it made my stomach turn. My heart stopped. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. The man I loved and the woman I trusted most were betraying me in the cruelest way imaginable. I slammed the car door open, and they froze like deer caught in headlights. "Sophia!" Daniel stammered, scrambling for words. Claire's face drained of color, guilt written all over her features. My voice shook as I asked the only question that mattered. "How long?" Silence. Then Daniel whispered, "A few months." That was the end of my marriage, and the end of my friendship. The days that followed were a blur of tears and numbness. I moved out of the house I had shared with Daniel, packing my life into boxes, while he stood silently in the corner, not even brave enough to meet my eyes. Claire didn't call. She didn't text. The betrayal was so complete, it left me hollow. Everyone around me whispered, friends, colleagues, even neighbors. Some pitied me. Others relished the drama. But no one truly understood the devastation I felt. Betrayal isn't just about losing love or trust. It's about losing the foundation you built your life upon. My marriage had been a lie. My best friendship had been a lie. And in the ruins of it all, I had to find myself again. But I made a silent vow. I would not let this betrayal destroy me. If Daniel and Claire thought they could break me, they were wrong. I didn't know how, but I promised myself that one day they would regret underestimating me, and so began the long, painful road that would turn me from the broken woman they left behind into someone they would never forget. After the night I caught Daniel and Claire together, life turned into something I barely recognized. Every corner of my house reminded me of lies. The couch where we had laughed, the bed where we had whispered dreams, even the framed photos on the walls. They mocked me with their false happiness. I filed for divorce. Daniel didn't fight it. He wanted out as much as I did. He moved in with Claire almost immediately, as if they had just been waiting for my exit. The humiliation was unbearable. The whispers of neighbors stung, but what hurt worse was the pity in people's eyes. Nights were the hardest. I would lie awake, replaying memories over and over like torture reels. Claire and I as kids, promising to always be there for each other. Daniel's vows on our wedding day, telling me I was his forever. It all felt like a cruel joke now. I cried until my chest ached, until my body shook with exhaustion. Friends tried to help. Some said, "You're better off without them." Others said, "Time heals all wounds." But time didn't heal, at least not yet. I felt empty, broken, like I had been stripped of everything that made me who I was. And yet, somewhere in that darkness, a seed of determination began to grow. One night, staring at the ceiling with swollen eyes, I whispered to myself, "You will rise, Sophia. You will not stay down." That was the night everything began to change. Starting over was terrifying. I had no husband, no best friend, and no sense of direction. But what I did have was freedom, the freedom to reinvent myself. I threw myself into work. I was already a mid-level manager at a marketing firm. But I realized I had been holding back, always prioritizing my marriage and social life over my career. Now I had nothing to lose. I worked longer hours, volunteered for big projects, and pushed myself harder than ever before. Slowly, my pain began to transform into fuel. The very betrayal that had nearly destroyed me became my motivation. At first, people doubted me. "She's too emotional," they said. "She won't last." But I silenced them with results. Campaign after campaign, I delivered success. Clients began to request me specifically. My bosses noticed. Promotions followed. And as my career soared, so did my confidence. I began to rediscover myself outside of Daniel and Claire's shadow. I went back to the gym, cut my hair, bought clothes that made me feel powerful. For the first time in years, I looked in the mirror and saw a woman who was not weak, but unstoppable. The transformation wasn't easy. There were setbacks, moments of doubt, nights when the loneliness returned. But each time, I reminded myself, I am stronger than what broke me. Within 5 years, I had climbed higher than I ever imagined. From manager, I became director. From director, vice president. My reputation in the industry grew. People began to see me, not as the woman who had been betrayed, but as the woman who conquered adversity. Ironically, Daniel's career didn't fare so well. He had joined a small firm after our divorce, and his reckless decisions and arrogance made him infamous in the business world. Claire, once glowing with charm, seemed drained whenever I saw her at events. Whispers spread that their relationship wasn't as perfect as they had imagined. Then came the day that would change everything. A global company was opening a new division in our city, and I was offered the role of CEO. It was a dream position, the kind of role people spend their entire careers chasing. I accepted without hesitation. And here's the twist of fate. The company Daniel was working for, it was being acquired by mine. Suddenly, his future depended on me. The first day Daniel walked into my office was one I will never forget. He froze the moment he saw me sitting behind the CEO's desk, my nameplate gleaming in the sunlight, his face drained of color. And for once, Daniel Carter, the man who thought he was too good for me, looked powerless. "Hello, Daniel," I said coolly, savoring every second. "Welcome to your new company," he stuttered, trying to regain composure. "Sophia, I didn't know." "I'm sure you didn't," I interrupted, my voice calm but sharp. "But you'll find that things are different here. I'm not the woman you betrayed anymore. I'm your boss." The look in his eyes was priceless. Shock, regret, shame, all of it mixed into one expression. Claire didn't even show up. I heard they were barely holding on as a couple. From that day forward, Daniel had to answer to me. Every report, every meeting, every project. He had no choice but to face the woman he once abandoned. And the irony? He couldn't quit. Jobs at his level were scarce. and he needed the money. It wasn't just revenge. It was justice. The world had come full circle, and I had risen from ashes to power. Looking back now, I realize something important. Betrayal might break you, but it doesn't define you. What defines you is how you rise after the fall. And me, I rose higher than they ever imagined.